Hi guys, Andy here. Clove.co.uk sent me this Sony Xperia Z2 a week or so back. I've been using it for the last week and I thought it was time that I gave you my thoughts on the matter. It's that time of year where a lot of the flagship devices have hit the stores. So we've got the HTC One M8, we've got the Samsung Galaxy S5, the LG 3 is on the horizon I suppose, and then we've got the Sony Xperia Z2. So there's a lot of choices of very good devices right now. You might be wanting to find out information about all four, three, you might be stuck between two devices. So I thought I'd let you know what I think of the Z2. I have reviewed the Galaxy S5 and I will be reviewing the HTC One M8, but today it's the Sony Xperia Z2. Alright, so let's start with the design of the device. It's in the kind of style that I generally like. I think I've mentioned it on the Sony reviews I've done previously, so it's a similar design to the Z1 Compact, for example. I call it Slabophone, because it's just a block of phone, basically, nice and rectangular and flat and square. And it'll just sit on a table like so, won't rock about when you're using it. What I did find, because of the glass front and the glass back obviously being very slippy, you may have even seen in one of my videos I did, it's on, I mean this desk is pretty stable, it's not like it's rolling anywhere, but the device was actually gradually sliding down the desk. It's kind of weird. And also I've found there's been a couple of times I've put it on like a napkin at work or something, and actually it's been able to sort of slide off the napkin even though it seems perfectly flat. So my desire, I'm always commenting on when cameras stick out and it makes the phone rock about. This is as flat as it's going to get at the back, and actually it means it slides about a little too much when I'm trying to use it. Anyway, so it does look, I think it does look very good though. If we have a look around the device, obviously the headphone jack on the top there, I don't know if that's a noise cancelling mic. On this side is the micro SD card flap, and there's the micro SD card in there, goes in and out very easily. The power button and the volume rocker, and then down here dedicated camera button. Now I'm not sure I like the buttons. To me they're in a slightly odd place. I mean it kind of works because obviously it's right there, look, as I'm holding the device to power on nice and easily. But the volume rocker is quite small. I did find, I don't know, you have to pay a bit more attention making sure you're pressing the right volume up or volume down. And also the camera button, you can wake the phone and go straight to camera by pressing that, like so. And then it's got like a two-stage, so you see, I don't know if you saw there, that the light comes on, look, so I've got it focusing. Excuse you, sorry, the HTC One M8 updating in the background there. The biggest problem is just remembering to use that for me. The amount of times I've taken photos, I'll just go boom, boom. I think once last night I was out and I actually remembered to use the dedicated camera button. I mean, I do like the feature. I'm just so not used to having it there. I forget to use it basically. But it is a very handy button. You can change exactly how it works. You can have it so that you hold it down instead of just waking up like that. It actually takes a photo straight away. So if you're wanting to be quick on the take, and it's had that sort of thing for a while. Sony has. I forgot from which one it was. A couple of years ago, the one I had did that, and it was quite handy. About to just something would happen, you hold it and it takes a picture straight away. Okay, we move down to the bottom where we can see just these three holes there. Look, that's actually the speaker. It's a pretty good speaker all in all. Actually, it's lacking a little volume, but I like the sound it produces. A nice rounded. A little bit of bass, not to the point obviously you're going to be having parties using the phone to power the party, but it's a good speaker. Let's for example,
Moto G, the new Moto, coming out at prices that are retail off contract way below where comparable Moto calls its value strategy. After that deal, not a done deal. It's something.
We have the Moto Maker idea is just going to be moved to China, but we haven't heard anything about that, right? Because we're only hearing about the Google part, which is closing.
So I do listen to a lot of podcasts. To me, the speaker is really quite important, and it's actually a pretty good one. Initially, I thought it was a bit quiet, but having used the device for a week, I realised that actually it sounds pretty good. The voice is quite clear. Likewise, when you're making a phone call, if you use the speakerphone, which I do sometimes, it does give good quality sound. So that's the speaker. Then there's just a lanyard hole there. I'm not quite sure what that's about really. Do people still use lanyards? We've got the magnetic connector for Sony's proprietary charging point. I've not used that, unfortunately. I think that probably works for docks as well. And then here we have another flappy bit for the charger and also the SIM card slot. Now I know some people are a bit concerned, or I read somewhere perhaps that they're a bit concerned that you had to uncover the SIM slot to plug the charger in. Doesn't particularly bother me, but what it does mean is you're unlikely to get a dock, like a car dock or something that's going to charge as well, or if you do, you've got to drive around with this bit flapping about. Now obviously it's done for a reason. It has, what is it, IP, I'm going to need to look it up, sorry, and I can't see it, IP58 certified, which means it can be 1 meter underwater for 30 minutes or something like that. So it's pretty damn, you go swimming with this basically, in theory, without much of a trouble. I did do a Z1 compact camera test from underwater, and it did work fine. So all in all, there you can see it sliding, even though it's on a perfectly flat desk. Well, what I believe to be a perfectly flat desk. Maybe it gets like a thin layer of air or something in it. It seems to have stopped now. So I do like the design. I like the slabber phone, but it's 163 grams. Now, I was kind of surprised when I looked up what the HTC One M8 is. That's 160 something. Yeah, I'm sure it's 160 something. It just doesn't feel quite as kind of clunky and bulky. Whoopsie daisy. That's the Z2, and so this is 163 grams. The Note 3 is only 168 grams, but then the Z2, it really isn't far off the size of the Note 3. Look. So you have to sort of accept, I suppose, that it is quite a big, chunky device. So I guess just be aware that it is a big phone. I'm not a big fan of the flaps and stuff like that as well. I understand they serve a purpose. I find it a bit of a pain last thing at night, and I've got to fiddle about getting the flap off, and then you can't see in there too well when it's a bit dark to which way around the connector go and all that malarkey. So I do understand why, and if waterproofing is important to you, then obviously the flaps are very important as well, but I prefer just being able to get straight in and plug in. I mean, the S5 has the flap as well because it's gone waterproofy, and I find that quite annoying as well, but there we go, that's the way it's going. They seem to think waterproof is important. So the hardware itself, the big point of the new flagship devices this year is the Snapdragon 801 chipset, which of course the Z2 has. It also has a quad-core 2.3 GHz Crate 400 sitting upon that, and it uses the Adreno 330 GPU, so very similar to all the other flagships. The S5 has a slightly faster quad-core. It also has 3 GB of RAM. Then if we move on to the cameras, Sony's put a 20.7 megapixel into the very corner of the device there, and it has a 2.2 megapixel front-facing camera. The screen itself is 1080 by 1920 over the 5.2 inches. That means 424 pixels per inch, which is more than enough for anybody, I would hope. I think generally the screen is very good. Don't know how well you can see the viewing angles. I think that the colours go off, or the brightness goes off a bit quicker than some of the other devices. When I start angling it again, I don't know how well that shows on the camera. It just looks a little bit duller, quicker than the other devices, if that makes sense. And the screen generally is just not quite a sort of bright and vibrant. Now, of course, you can turn up the brightness in. I'll just show you. Look, turn off auto and crank it right up, and that does make a difference. But it seems like you have to put this on a higher brightness setting than the others to get a sort of more vibrant screen in some ways, I suppose. It is an IPS LCD screen, for those wondering. So that's kind of the hardware and the design covered. The camera itself, so as I said, it's got a dedicated button. It's nice when I can remember to use it. There's some good options in the menu, if I can remember where. Hello? If I can remember where we find them, probably in here, I guess. So here's the quick launch. Oh, I'll just turn geotag off. Yeah, whatever. Come on. So a quick launch, you can have all these different launch and record video. You can even turn it off. Look, I suppose if you find that it's being pressed by mistake, you would want to turn it off. I forgot what the thing I was looking for now. Oh yeah, so you should be able to as well change. There you go. So use volume keys as you can have this the zoom, you can have this the volume, or just as the shutter release. I guess with a dedicated, I mean, I quite like being able to use the volume as the shutter release, but when you've got a dedicated button, that kind of makes it totally unnecessary. And obviously you can change where the data storage is. Now we're on auto, I think, like by default really. There's not actually many options there. Even in here, there's not a lot of options. In the camera, there's not a lot of options. Now, what it actually took me a long time to realise, I was taking pictures assuming they were 20 megapixel, and then I looked them up and realised they were 8 megapixel. And I was looking through the settings, like how do I go to 20 megapixel? Normally it's in the settings there, you choose what, and then I realised you have to go to manual. And when you go to manual, you get lots more options. And there it is, look, resolution. So it defaults to that one there, 3840 by 2160. And to get the full 20, you get the square of 4:3 image there, and you can have 15.5 and still go the kind of the widescreen type picture. But yeah, it just kind of confused me, and it's a bit odd. If we go back to Xperia Auto, I don't suppose there's an easy way that I can show you, but that's now back at 8 megapixel mode, which just seems a little bit odd. Let's go back into menu just to see what the other, just so you can see what the other menu options are. Image, oh, I didn't even realise that was off, to be fair. I don't know if in auto I would assume that's on. Quick launch still, yeah, so not much change on the second one, it's just you get more options. And in there we get white balance and all that kind of thing, and the lighting. Oh, auto white balance, yeah, of course. Right, let's have a look at the different modes. So again, we've got 4K video is a whole separate mode, so it doesn't record 4K by default. And usually I thought actually it would pop up a little note saying you lose things like image stabilization, because it's using the whole sensor, it can't do. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. And I'll just sort of show you really the other options in the camera. So let's see, automatically do a 6-second video. Let's go into the creative effect. So that's quite interesting. Like you get kind of a slanted view on things. We can then select. Oh, that's quite cool. It puts noise across the speckles across the. So there's quite a few funky options that you see like in real time. Background defocus. I don't know if it's like the previous device. It's going to say you can't do it when they're so close. That seems to have done quite a good job. I don't know how well you can see that from the angle. Probably not so well. Anyway, whoops, I've come out now. I didn't mean to come out. So, I mean, is it going to launch it? There we go. Just, were there any other ones we've not, that I didn't show you? Sweep, panorama, social, live, time shift. But so there's quite a few different options. Oh, I've got to be honest, I didn't look at this, plus apps. And you can download, oh, they're not even just camera apps, they're just actual loads of apps. Fair enough. Right. So, what's the quality like? Now, I was half expecting the camera to be amazing. People always talk about Sony cameras just being the nuts, but I've not really found that to be the case. So this, I mean, look at this was out on the RAS last night. That's not the best quality. I mean, it was very dark, and I think it tried to take the picture without flash. And that's one thing I found. It sort of, it seems very against. So I've always had it on auto flash, but a lot of the time it just tries to do it without, and a lot of the time I think to myself, use the bleeding flash. That's what it's there for, isn't it? If I'm getting a poor quality picture like that, I'd rather it try using the flash. I'll show you another picture as well. We were in go-karting. This is everyone waiting for their awards, and it just would not focus. I took maybe 3 pictures, and it just would not focus on them. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. Oh, why did it come out of the camera? Never mind. In good daylight, it produces reasonable pictures. some of them, I think the video as well, it was perhaps a bit more apparent. The colours looked a little bit flat, perhaps. So I don't know. It didn't make it stand out. And in fact, I went to a wedding last weekend, and I was asked people's advice on which phone I should take. That I might need to take some pictures. I was taking my DSLR, but I might need to take some pictures, and definitely I was going to take some video on it. And actually, the Z2 just wasn't really in the running. I took the S5 in the end. Actually, no, I tell a lie. It was in the running. It was in the running. I think it was the M8 that actually I sort of took off my list. I wasn't really considering, but then the Note 3, the Nexus 5, the S5, and the Z2. I think probably the Z2 is probably nearer the back of that pack. So, like I say, I thought the camera would have been like a unique selling point of the device, but I didn't think it. It didn't blow me away in any way at all. Not that it's bad. Don't get me wrong. I just think this day and age, there's some very good camera phones, and this is a very good camera phone, but it's perhaps not up there with the very best. I don't know, but I'll pop up a couple of pictures perhaps, and you can make your own decision. Okay, so I'll move on to the software. One thing I'll show you while the screen's off here, I quite like tap to wake. Doesn't always work, but generally, I think normally if you don't, I need just a bit sort of relax. So you've got to be quite quick and quite kind of almost aggressive with it. But I do like that because the power button, I don't know, it's perhaps not the easiest of power buttons to find. Maybe that's just me, big clunky fingers. It is running 4.4.2. Let's see if we can go in and about phone just to. I don't want status, do I? What do I want? Do it's on there. Look. So you see there, 4.4.2. So it's as up to date as it's going to be. It's much like, see, if you've seen some of my other Sony videos, it's going to be much like that to me. It's not going to be all that much different. I quite like the launchers as kind of manufacturers' own launchers go. The launcher and overlay is quite subtle. It's not massively different to stock Android. We can have folders. I find it a little disappointing I can't sort them automatically by alphabetically, and I actually find it quite annoying. I don't know why, but I go into an app, I finish with app, I come back, and I'm still kind of in the folder. I'm done. Oh crap! I'm done. Come back to my home screen. I get quite a bit to bug this, but bugged by Sony. But I think, to be honest, I half the time I just kind of swipe away, and I forget it does say there, "Don't show this again." So I'm going to tap "Don't show this again," and out we come. Oops, I didn't mean to open it. I'm going to close the blooming thing. But yeah, it's quite subtle. I like, and typically I haven't got any right now, I like that it puts a number over. If I was to get a Facebook notification, it would put a little 1 or a 2 or whatever over the edge there, if I've got a Hangout message or WhatsApp message. I quite like that. I'm fairly sure it shows in the folder as well. But yes, the launcher's quite neat, quite slick. You do get a reasonable amount of Sony apps, and again, let's just have a look through. So backup and restore, its own album, blah, 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 blah. What else? Diagnostics. I'm not sure, is this really... So you can tell it basically, I want to test vibration. Did it vibrate? Yes, it did. So you can test volume buttons, you can do it right loudspeaker, so I have already done. Yes, and so it says the result. Okay, touch screen. Tap the test button. Screen will go blank for 10 seconds. Touch and move your finger. Whee! Oh, it doesn't let me do a second finger. I thought it would. Yes, it did. Thank you very much. Oh, run all. So, I suppose it's handy. I mean, generally, if you want to just test the speaker, you just play some music. But I guess it's handy to have everything there in one place. Oh, could I come here? Look, to show you the version of application crashes for. Did it tell us what? Oh, it does tell us what they are. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's quite handy. I did find the, if I can see it now, there we go, Track ID TV. So it's quite common for you to be able to look up what music is playing. I quite like that you could check what TV show was on at the time. Now, I suppose it sounds a little stupid because in some ways, surely you know what you're watching on the TV, but I don't know, maybe, well, I was going to say maybe you're sat in a pub and there's something on and you're thinking, oh, what's this? But it's probably going to be too loud in there. But I don't know, perhaps you're at a friend's house and to an extent, maybe you even just want to check what season and episode something is. So you're watching Friends, for example, and you're thinking, which season is this? I don't think I've seen this. And you can look it up and it'll tell you what, season 9, episode 5 or something like that. Or, I don't know, maybe it's handy, maybe it's not. This day and age you can normally press an info button and it tells you that straight away. But like I say, perhaps you're somewhere where you're not the person in charge of the remote. So reasonably interesting. The Xperia Lounge thing, I got a notification saying you can get 6 free movies or something like that. I thought, oh, well, okay, fair enough. Yeah, might as well. Here we go. Look, redeem your 6 great movies. So I go, yeah, why not? Why not get 6 movies while I'm here? I first of all had to log into Xperia Lounge. So then I get a code. Then it opens up a web page. I think I've got to register again. And I thought, oh, do you know what? I can't be bothered. I thought so. Maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's useful not to. I tend not to buy into all the manufacturers' apps and the manufacturers' ecosystem. I suppose even Samsung, which I use more than any other phone, I prefer not to. I prefer to be into something that can can go across platforms, well, across devices at least. Now, actually, that one's not. That's interesting. So, I've got a notification, but I've not got a little number on the Google Plus. So it definitely works on Facebook, I know that much, and I'm fairly sure it works on the 2 messengers. I could be wrong. So it's not any app will just show you a little icon, but if I don't, let's just double check if. Oh, I should show. Oh, dear me. I should show you that actually. So in the launcher, you get different. Actually, I kind of like the idea of just having most used. So the apps I open the most, they're all there, but then you can't kind of. Yeah, so you have to go back into alphabetical order to get the rest of them. If it did them in sort of order of most used, and I could still swipe through them to get to the others, that perhaps make more sense, I think. But yeah, I mean, kind of handy, and it's easy and slick to get back into alphabetical. You can even set your own order. What else? I quite like, I suppose, the prompts that you get when you plug in headphone or power. So it says, oh, you just connected the power. Do you want to go into night mode and stuff like that? And you can adjust what night mode is. You can even rename it just to charging mode, and you can say turn Wi-Fi on, turn Bluetooth on when charging, turn screen bright, whatever. You can change all these different things, which is kind of handy. I did find. Let's go back into. Personally, I didn't think. Let's just try and ask you. The keyboard was too good at recognising Timoth. I mean, okay, I wasn't like being really careful of what I was typing, but I was trying to type recognising Teddington. See, and it just, that to me is pretty bad. Let's try once more. I don't know, maybe I'm being too maybe I was spelling it wrong. Recognise. Right. Oh, interesting. Well, you got a brief view of the dialer answering. Some rubbish phone call. No interest at all. And I didn't like that. I can't hold down it. Boom! It bounces back through a whole word. You have to sort of hold and zoop, slide through it. Now, can I just discard? Yes. So, yeah, so I didn't find the keyboard, it was annoying like that, so I didn't think I was swiping too badly, and it was coming up with a word nothing like what I wanted, and when I went, you tap back to see if the word you actually wanted was in the recommendations, and it's not there, so I didn't think the keyboard was too good. Not a massive problem. Obviously, you can put a swipe on there, you can put a swift key, you can put whatever keyboard you like, so not a huge problem. The battery, I didn't mention earlier on, the battery's 3,200 milliamp hours, so that's pretty damn huge, really. I think that matches the Note 3. It seems good, but I would have expected more, I think, from a battery of that size. I'll easily get through a day. Probably, I'll have a work. I am actually a light user, might surprise you. Obviously, I use a lot of phones, but if I'm at work, it sits in my pocket or my case for the majority of the day. And I get home and then I'm on the computer, so I'm not using, I'm not watching movies and playing games and stuff like that. It is just for more of the necessity type things. So I will, at the end of the day, I'll still have 50% left using the Z2, but with that size battery, I almost would have expected it to be 60 or 70. I think my Note can finish the day with at least 60 without too much trouble. So it's almost a little odd that it burns that much. But having said that, yeah, definitely you'll go a day. Even if you're a heavy user, I think you'll go a day without too much trouble. As far as kind of the hackability of the device, I've had a look on XDA developers. There's a few ROMs there. They're all kind of based on Sony's own ROM. I couldn't see an AOSP version just yet, so you are stuck with kind of Sony-based ROMs. Not that it's a problem, because as I said, it's pretty subtle and quite good. I didn't mention actually, well, there's a notification light just in case you didn't. You see that flashing? Yeah, there we go. So all in all, I think it's a very nice phone. It's slick in use, it's smooth, there's definitely no issues there. I can't say I noticed any lag at any point, but for some reason it just doesn't do it for me. I like this style of phone. You've probably heard in my other reviews me talking how I like the slabber phone, I like the nice flat and squared and rectangled. I just don't know why this doesn't quite do it for me. But that is just for me. It is a great phone. If you're buying one, there's a very good chance you're going to love it. I would recommend perhaps just going to a shop and try it, because it is quite big and it's quite bulky, and it is quite flat and angular, and it feels very different in the hand to some of the other devices that's out these days. So the S5, I mean, the S5 is a lot lighter at 145 grams. Well, I say a lot, it's 20 grams, but it feels a lot lighter, and even the HTC One M8 it does actually feel a little bit better in the hand, which is weird. Like I say, generally I go for that design, but the M8 does feel a bit better in the hand. So I would suggest just get yourself down to a local phone shop and try it first. Aside, I suppose, maybe the dedicated camera button, is there any reason to buy it over the Samsung or the HTC? I'm not sure there is. I mean, I guess it is more waterproof. If that's important to you, then I guess so. But I don't particularly see any reason aside that. So, like I say, it is a great phone. I know that sounds quite a negative finish. It is a very good phone. If you've got one, I hope you're not offended that it's just not pushing my buttons, basically. There you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. My name's Andy. I'll catch you all again soon.